Hello there. Oops, shouldn't be smoking again, sorry. Um, there were so many people that have emailed me Badlanders this week, and I'm a bit on a bit of a Badlander roll. Because like everything I see has been done before, and it's getting a little annoying. But when I was speaking to Jo Lapompe in France, or Joe, as we can call our friend, who's totally anonymous and doesn't want anybody to know who he is. I know who he is. He said that I should do Badlanders again because it was fun. But him and I, we have different ways of doing Badlanders. He digs up the very similar visual solutions, which is the simplest trap to fall into, to be honest. Such as these. See these? Wow. There's two of them. So there's like two of those native people that have those plates in their lips. And instead of a regular plate, it's a beer cap. I don't know. To announce really big beer? I have no idea what this is supposed to mean. I guess they just thought it was a funny visual. And I guess that means that as research at the advertising agency, they have lots of National Geographics. But then there's the typical visual idea that you will come up with on your own. That doesn't necessarily mean that you stole it from somebody else. It's just a very, very simple, obvious, wow, that was the first thing I thought of. For example, McDonald's drive-thru. Yes, those are French fries lying around on the ground as if they were the lines of the road. That's like the first idea you write down. Stop it. You have to write more. You have to keep pushing, because or else you're just going to do the same thing as everybody else. Then there are these visual ideas that look like, oh my god, they totally copied somebody else. Like, here's two images that look identical. And that sort of looks like demo love, to be honest. It's like, wow, I saw something and now we're just going to do it again. Here's another example of very first visual idea. To explain that there's lots of tomatoes and ketchup, you simply slice tomatoes as if it were a ketchup bottle. There are more of these out there. This one's for Heinz, from McCann Erickson in London. This one's for Ketchup Tat in Turkey, but I've seen them for Swedish ketchups and everything. Another trick is to just stuff the bottle full of tomatoes. Yes, we've seen it. Then there's the ones that sort of come straight from like everybody's pop cultural knowledge. Everybody has heard the story of the tortoise and the hare, so when you're going to say fast but safe, you obviously combine a tortoise and a hare. So the top one's for Volkswagen, it's a tortoise hare, and the second one's for Mitsubishi Motors, and it's a tortoise hare. Then there are these ideas where you're self-referentiating to advertising itself, which is a little bit, that's a bit of ad wankery, but I mean, honestly, advertising is everywhere. Everybody knows advertising. Some ad wankery you can totally do. I mean, there are some campaigns that have just like entered into popular culture, such as I've fallen and I can't get up, and like that everybody knows, but there are some campaigns that aren't like that. So, I mean, if you're a Dutch agency and you're referencing an ad campaign that works in America, the Dutch people might not know about it. Anyway, so here are family cars, and instead of having like the usual female sexy model, they are sexy models though. One of them's even Christine Blinkley, isn't it? Anyway, so here we have pregnant models. Very funny, it's a family car, get it, aha. But that is, you know, self-referentiating advertising in a funny way. However, they're 4 years apart. And I don't know if it means that they saw the original one, because, you know, they probably might not have. But then there are the cases like the one I just published, which is where a video or a commercial is shot exactly like an animation or another film that they've seen on the web. I mean, basically John Cabral has been sort of accused of doing this all the time. He stole the gorilla off a YouTube film, he stole The whole, you know, the Sony Bravia bouncing balls came from a David Letterman stunt with melons in San Francisco, and everybody's on about those kinds of things. And but today's was pretty obvious because the look of it was exactly the same. And in these cases, I don't really understand why you don't call the original a director, because it seems like if somebody's actually done what you want to do, just call them. How difficult could that be? But I also think this is a case of demo love. It's, now I'm going to blame the clients. It's the client's fault. We have to show clients exactly what we're trying to do. And if it's not finished yet, then we don't have anything to show. I mean, we used to be able to show marker roughs and sketches and mood boards and go, I want to photograph a little bit like this, but with the light like that and the color like this. And we're going to have a model that looks like that. And, you know, combine all that and it's going to look like this. But you have to think it up in your head. And when clients can't read this anymore, you have to actually show them a piece and go, it's going to look like this. And then the clients fall in love with what you're showing them. So it's a case of demo love where you copy the demo you showed the client. So it's very dangerous to have to show clients exactly what you're going to do, because since it's not done yet, you can't show them that. And I just wish clients would sort of allow themselves to run with an idea and trust their agency to be able to execute it in a way that they're explaining they will. But as the director of that piece that was ripped off said, he thinks it's a case of creatives becoming researchers rather than idea creators. This could also be true, but it's rather sad if that's the case. I mean, I got into advertising because I wanted to come up with the ideas, and it really, really bothered me that I saw, you know, there were lots of directors' demo reels or spec reels that came out where there was a great idea from the director, and then, you know, it's simply bought by the agency and they run with it, sort of like in the case of Budweiser Was Up. That was on the director's reel before it became a Bud ad. And that sort of bothers me because it wasn't written to be a Bud ad. It wasn't a response to a brief. It was more like, oh yeah, here's the brief, and wow, we'll just do this thing that we just got in. And then I was like, maybe I should become a director, because they seem to be doing all the fun ideas, which is what I wanted to do. But then, I mean, it's also very, very, very common that you get the same exact brief as everybody else has gotten, with the same exact tremendously boring and predictable proposition, and you will end up with the same exact ideas. Because if the clients keep insisting on, you're going to do and sell the same thing the same way as you did 20 years ago, you know, oh wow, we have ketchup with lots of tomatoes, please say lots of tomatoes, you're going to end up with lots of tomatoes, like, result. I mean, we were a class of, you know, less than 30 kids, and we all teamed up, so we're 15 now, and we all got a brief from the D&AD to do a Christmas card for D&AD. How many kids do you think came up with the first obvious idea, which is pencil shavings in the shape of a Christmas tree? Have you guessed yet? Yeah, 4 of us. 4 teams came up with that idea, and I was one of them. Yeah, sorry. And that was just really embarrassing. As we're sitting there and like all the teams go through all their ideas, like 4 of these stupid ass pencil shavings come up. Not only is it 4 that show up in that hour, we all solve the brief in an hour, but our tutor John Giller just freaked out on us and said, you know, that's already been done, oh my god, you have to push yourself further. And that's sort of the message I want to bring here. I remember what actually won that briefing that year. It was, I think it was Pete Kane that did it, actually. Pete, are you listening? It was it was a check that they were saying, like, this was in 1994, right? So it's a long time ago, but it was recession. So they were saying, instead of like splurging on really expensive, fancy-looking Christmas cards, we've donated like so much money to the homeless shelter or something like that. And that won because it was different. And you can only get different if you throw out all the crap you come up with in the first like hour, actually. You know, if you're sitting there and there's all these visual solutions that are very, very simple, that explain exactly what the brief is going to want you to explain, but they've probably been done before. So actually, I think this book here, whoa, that comes from jolapompe.net, not .com, .net. .net's cooler. is a really good book for all kids out there, because it's not just to see, like, yeah, you really have to push yourself further, but it's also, like, if you're a little art director and you can't read French, buy it anyway, because it shows you which is a better visual execution, a better way of doing it, so you can actually study, you know, which art director pushed himself or herself further. Like in the case of the Matchbox price sticker cars. Actually, I have one of these on the... in my Badland, I think. Yeah, I do. You're missing one, Joe. Sorry. I have a tremendously bad cold, as you can hear. It's been bugging me for a week now. There's a lot of stuff actually written in here from French creative directors and so on, which is interesting. It's their theories and quotes and, like, where does this stuff come from? And everybody has a different theory, but, you know, Paul Arden once said, you know, ideas don't really belong to you, they belong to God. And they just come to you when you're ready for it, when you can execute it. But he also said that if the client doesn't understand what you're about to do, just go out and shoot it. Raise the money, do it anyway, then show the client. And to sort of like add the punchline on that one, to really explain that one to us, he showed us this this commercial of a camera zooming in and out on a condom placed on silk with like French music to it. So the camera's going, and it goes faster and faster and faster until it climaxes. And that was just one of those things that you would not understand unless you had seen the film. So, like, you probably don't get it, but it was really cool. And it was very, very Paul Arden. May he rest in peace. Here's another one. Oops. See, Sleeping Money. That's always a classic. Use money as visuals. Now I dropped lots of his cards here. These are Joe LaPompa's cards. Can't really show up here, but he's sort of making fun of the classic agency names and their logos. Actually, I'm doing this because, you know, the user Goodbye is posting lots of Bambooser films and nobody else is. And I'm like, why not? Because I was totally expecting you guys to start, you know, filming, like just aiming the web camera at people having random sex at the agency at this point. No, but I mean, seriously, you can do that if you want to. Anyway, so I'm going to use this as a book review. I'm going to embed it in a little book review so that you can find a cute little link and go buy his book if you want. What else? I'm going to see what Paul Arden said. See, this is my, like, by now, infamous scrapbook. I have a scrapbook full of... I have lots of scrapbooks, actually. But this one's the one I did in school. And it's lots of misspelled notes and small drawings. That was my drawing of Paul Arden. Of people that came to our school. And what they were, all the words of wisdoms they were saying, plus just general stuff that caught my eye. And I recommend all creatives to have a scrapbook, at least, you know, one a year or something, that you just stick stuff that grabs you in it. Because I know that lots of people are collecting, you know, in Picasa and on Flickr, you're collecting all their ads. You're like, don't collect ads, collect other stuff. Collecting ads is dumb. I mean, that's, again, it's the input is affecting the output. If everybody's looking at the same thing, we're all going to get the same results. And you're not going to get anything new. But I mean, I will cop out to admitting that I collect fruit stickers. And I've been doing that for quite some time. I had a bunch that said tomato. They were great. And I collect stuff like random ad vandalism. If it were a lady, it would get its bottom pinched. If this lady was a car, she'd run you down. And I stick my own comics in it because, you know, that's what I do. I draw comics, but no, I don't show them to anybody usually. Yeah, I'm an art director who can draw. Wow. I have an illustration degree, that's where it comes from. This is Steve Harrison. Wow, I gotta show you the picture of him. I just love the fact that he was chain smoking during the whole time he had a lecture. Like, that's so nice. So yeah, you know, where do I have more funny stuff to show you? Collect stuff that you like, you know. Here's like North American playing card set because, dude, that logo's cool. Just collect little itty bits. And I end up collecting a lot of packaging for some reason. I buy stuff I don't need because the packaging is cool. I don't know how many jars of, you know, polish for... Aww. Here's a photo of Paul. And then I write down all my ideas, like, you know, absolutely ridiculously silly ideas. So there's my little soap as shaving foam. Oh wait, yeah. Soap that's like shaving foam. Kids would love it, and newlyweds too. Because, you know, some of your ideas are not quite ready yet, but they'll show up later. It's like the bottom drawer of good ideas. Everybody has a bottom drawer, but get a scrapbook, stick it in there, have something tangible that you can sort of flick through when you're a little bit bored, so you don't end up flicking through the awards books, because that's not going to help you. Oh, here's a beautiful collection. This is photographs of helium. How cool is that? It's so pretty. Print out stuff from the web. Don't stick it in Flickr accounts or, you know, Picasa accounts or something, because it's the whole touching it is what's making it more interesting. Sorry. And all those illustrators and type designers and all those people that come and show you their portfolio. There's a photo of me. And Sven Super. Hi, Sven. Anyway, that was us and Ken. Yeah, that was back when I was younger and blonde. Because when you have like a book like this that you can go through and you can see all your old stuff, you can. They're just good to have. I have a whole cabinet full of them now. And the different years show very, you know, I can see I always cut out fonts and put in them as well. And bad misprints that I've made. Can't even see what that is. See? Get it? Strawberry flavored condoms? Very funny. So that's my school scrapbook. That's the one I made in 93, 94. But then I've done one for every year, and you can look through them, and you'll see like the differences in the fonts and what was influencing you at the time. You know, get all those little things that when you go to galleries and stuff, get those little things in there. But look at the things that other people are looking at. They're not going to art galleries, and they're not like anally checking every single font that comes out there. Just, you know, cut stuff out of the newspaper, cut out bad ads and put in there. You know, and cut out horrible puns, like, because you will learn your own visual language and your own style, and you will start beginning to see where you draw from. But keep putting everything in there, because they're just, you know, when you sit there and flick through them and then you see like there's a silver paper there with a really cool pattern on it, it's just, wow, I want to do that. But I still haven't found the client I can do that for yet. And there's like little, you know, little bags, like I've bought stuff in shops, and then I get the bag and I put that in there. So that's my point. Stop researching on the web, start collecting from the world, and push yourself a little bit harder. Because I don't think that everybody's ripping everybody else off on purpose. I just think that, you know, yeah, like Joe said, creatives are young, they're inexperienced, they haven't seen what won in Cannes just 3 years ago. So yeah, you should do your advertising history, but you should have done that at school. And if you haven't done it at school, then, you know, you're at an advertising agency now. They probably have books full of D&ADs and Cannes Lion and Epicas, and just go through them. Every time you have like a lull moment, you know, when you're waiting for that brief, the people promised you like yesterday, just look through the book, just read every single thing in the book, but then put it aside, because the reason you're reading it, John Gillard did a great thing at school. He showed us the D&AD, and then he's like, what do you think of this book? And we're like, wow, yeah, like D&AD, it's great. And he's like, well, you know, and he throws it away. He tosses it in the bin, where there's like banana peels and icky stuff. And he's like, it's rubbish, because it's yesterday, and it's been done, and now we're going to do fresh stuff. So, you know, God bless Gillard as well. May he rest in peace. I'm going to stop chatting now. See you later.